GM fam, it is Wednesday, May 14th, and the tech is good again. And there's no tech better than that from AIOZ. I want to give a big shout out. They're the winners of this week's Squid Pass, very enthusiastic winners. They embody the decentralization we've all been looking for in terms of storage, AI compute, object pinning, and much more with the AIOZ DPIN network spread across hundreds of thousands of edge nodes, so you no longer have to bend the knee to Bezos and the technocrats. Check out the QR code and you will be invited to their Discord server. Great place. Hang out. We'll be plugging them a lot throughout today's episode. Just one of many examples of why the tech is good again. Rex, why do you think the tech is good?
I don't know, but it's approximately 60% better since like in the last 6 days. So don't know why, just confident it's better.
Yeah, it's wild to watch. Like I stopped paying attention to the price like 3 years ago because it was too depressing, and now like I get my price alerts from people being like, "Hey, should I like I see Ethereum's up or things like that." Not yet asking if they should buy. That means sell everything, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, I guess like we shouldn't be taking any victory laps. Like it's still like look where we zoom out, right? But
yeah, we're down 50% from when I was buying ETH at 4,500.
Yeah, I will say that like the first half of my investment capital went about when ETH was at like 4,800 back in 2021 or two. So still down bad, but yeah, man, I don't know, feels good. So let's not dwell too much on it, but congratulations to anyone who still has conviction and believes in something. And it felt good for finally for Ethereum folks. Like everyone got like a second wind, but it kind of feels like the market realized they were offsides on Ethereum, and like Ethereum caught most of it. So I'm happy.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything like, I know that like a lot of people say like since the ETFs got into it, they are like intentionally suppressing the price so that they could squeeze out the paper hands and then buy back in at a discount. Like, do you believe anything, those like conspiracy theories like that?
I just like someone would need to walk me through like how the math would work on that. Because like to drive the price down, you're selling, and then like what the idea is that they're just like trying to scare people into selling more. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Okay, sure. Why not?
All right, sure. Let's go full tinfoil hat, right?
Yeah. All right. So speaking of the tech overlords, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is like kind of like in the exchange part of the world. So like two interesting stories from this last week. One, Coinbase joining the S&P 500 seems like a big deal. And two, Robinhood is like definitely going to get involved not only in like the crypto buying and selling, which they already do, but there's going to be a Robinhood L2. And like I've heard from the rumor mills that it is like certain it's going to be built on like certain L2 stacks. And then just I don't know, a couple days ago, maybe yesterday, losing all sense of time, they announced an acquisition of a roll-up company that let's see, what's it called? Wonder.fi, that is built on the ZK Sync stack. And so anyway, what do you think, man? Is that like, does this mark like a turning point? Like one, the fact that like the most crypto native company, like really like the only public crypto native company has like joined the big boys in the S&P 500, and the fact that like probably the most popular, if not by volume, just by name share, like trad, like stock app is now getting into the L2 business. Like, do you think this is like signs of brighter days, or do you think this is just kind of boring?
So it's a good question. Like I'm motivated by like the angel on one shoulder, devil on the other shoulder type situation, where like people I respect like have very divergent views on this, right? Like Michael Egorov is pretty against the explosion of L2s. He thinks that they take away value from Ethereum. Ethereum should focus on scaling the L1 and cast the L2s aside. And then we have Tarek, who came on the show like a year ago or so and was saying, you need an L2, you need an L2. The market is saying that everyone needs an L2. Like, I think, I don't know exactly where I fall, right? Like, these are both people who are way smarter than me, way more accomplished than me. So, like, it seems like they kind of have a differing opinion. So I feel like I just got to sit it out and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I, you know, I find it like it's impossible not like we're all bullish on the L2, like the roll-up centric roadmap. And I would be curious to know if like Michael Egoroff and like people like that were bearish on it back like when it was first picking up steam in like 2021. But like, it's kind of funny like taking a step back and just like looking at the arc, right? We moved into the roll-up centric roadmap. Well, really, we tried to do execution sharding, and that just like wasn't viable for a lot of reasons. But we pivoted to the roll-up centric roadmap specifically because when there was so much activity on the L1, like it got like impossibly expensive to use. Like I remember doing like DEX swaps for like over $200.
And that's coming back, by the way. Did you see gas prices yesterday were like 15? I was like, I haven't seen 15 gwei in forever.
Yeah. But then you like look at our ETH price, the gas price, and it's still only like $8 to do a swap.
Yeah.
But
it's not going to be long though, right? Like I mean, this the whole like sentiment and everything turns on a dime. So like as of like a week ago, everyone's complaining that we're not burning enough ETH and gas is cheap and there's nothing to do. And next week it could very well be gas is 100 and people are complaining. Ethereum is 4,500 and everyone's complaining that like it's way too expensive. We need to scale.
Yeah, well, I guess that would be kind of what I would say to. I'm not trying to call out Mitch here, but like just to use him as a stand-in for people that think like L2s are a bad idea and like we just need to concentrate all the activity on the L1. It's like, what's the plan when it is prohibitively expensive to use the L1, right? And is it just the idea that, well, Ethereum is really just for whales and institutions, whatever that means, and like, sorry if you're like a guy in Argentina that wants to use crypto to protect your wealth. Well, actually, sorry, is Argentina still relevant for this? Like, if you're a guy in Turkey who wants to protect your wealth from inflation, like, don't use Ethereum, and like, we just push them onto Tron and onto just like, I don't know, using Tether on Binance. And if so, like, that's not really why I signed up for crypto, to essentially create like just an alternative to Swift that is used by like major banks to communicate directly with each other. But like regular people need to like work through those centralized entities.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, I mean, initially, like I was, I'm old enough to remember the Bitcoin narrative, which is that dollars are like a failing fiat currency. We need to get onto like an alternative currency that is Bitcoin, and then Ethereum is like, well, Ethereum's money too. And now it's like, well, forget the Ethereum and Bitcoin being money. Like, let's just bring money like dollars on chain. So
yeah,
I definitely get those qualms. Yeah, like getting back to the L2 thesis, like I think you might have seen like Uniswap, like they have their Unichain recently, and that is actually like doing like a huge amount of volume for Uniswap. So like it's almost like when I try and like look at things just kind of rationally, like it doesn't almost matter on some level whether like we think that the volume and the transactions should be on Ethereum, because we're not moving in that world. Like we are definitely like, if I'm trying to like call balls and strikes, honestly, like no one's going to like be bringing all these like various app chains back to like rolling up on Ethereum migrating back to Ethereum mainnet. Like we are going to be stuck in this like L2 diaspora no matter what. So we might as well just embrace it, I guess.
Yeah. So who is using Unichain? Because, another thing I wanted to talk to you about today was the announcement that Euler Finance, or if you're just a reader, Euler Finance.
No, that hurts. That hurts.
I know, but I don't know if people will recognize it if I just say Euler. But
they're not familiar with the most famous mathematical identity.
No, but I just saw that they deployed on Unichain, and that to me was just like, huh, like I remember when Unichain launched, and I was like bullish on that just because I am bullish on the L2 centric, the roll-up centric roadmap and the L2 thesis. But yeah, looking at like DeFi Llama right now, I mean, there's like approximately like 600 million TVL on Unichain, and they're doing 600 million in daily volume, which is incredible. But my question is like, is that people bridging TVL onto Unichain and then just like holding it there to do trades? Or is that somehow routed like via a bridging protocol or whatever, right? But like, does that somehow facilitate trades all across the ecosystem, whether it's like on the L1 or like on Arbitrum or whatever? Like, do you have any idea what's going on there?
I don't, but if I had to venture a guess, I would guess it has something to do with just the price going up, because whenever the price goes up, there's like just massive trading volume on dexes. Like it's not super uncommon to see on curve pools in periods of high volatility, 100% liquidity utilization.
No, for sure. That makes like, but to me, what's surprising is that there's users on Unichain, right? Like they,
Yeah, I mean, I've barely used Uniswap the front end. So like when you go to Uniswap, does it like have you connect to Unichain?
I don't know. I'll vamp. You can check it out.
I'm kind of afraid to check to give my wallet to any dex since the past couple of days since Curve has been suffering the DNS exploit. To be honest, like
yeah, no, honestly, that one spooked me a little bit too. But I guess all to say is like one, the seeming success of Unichain has like definitely caught me off guard, and I think is like cool and interesting. To me, like we're in like the very awkward teenage years of L2s where like right now an L2 sure may have some like cryptographic guarantees about like the fact that the centralized operator can't move your funds without your permission, or like that you maybe can permissionlessly exit to the L1, or like whatever, right? But like the hard reality is that L2s are really just like independent blockchains that have some like Ethereum alignment branding. And like that's the state of things right now. And in that world, like I think that Michael Egoroff is completely correct. Like this is dumb. Like this is essentially allowing other chains that want to like just deploy their own technology and deploy their own token to like grift off of the Ethereum brand and then just like extract users and values and all that, user and value and all that stuff.
There's not even stickiness, right? Like you saw Fractal is like, oh, we're done with being an L2. We're gonna be an L. We're gonna graduate to L1.
Yeah, someone sold the bottom. Okay.
By the way,
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a big shout out to all of the 400 people watching us now live on X. There's an active chat going on, so make sure you pop in there, ask us questions. As you can see, we will take them live, so you can kind of steer this conversation towards whatever you'd like us to talk about in real time, which hopefully will be AIOZ, our sponsors. DeFi Advisor asked if the Curve UI is in fact safe. Yes, the new one with Curve.finance is safe. Curve.fi is no more, but Curve.finance is fine. Now, that being said, nothing in crypto is safe. So if you're looking for anything safe in crypto, just like pack it up. It's not happening. But the safest, relatively speaking, extension for Curve is Curve.finance. It's a tweet from our good friend Fiddy, who points out that if you're in DeFi, you're .fi or .finance. The problem begins when you start to go .xyz. Check out leviathannews.xyz, speaking of which. .network or .fun. And then once you go .com, that means you've grown up and found product market fit.
I love add Nance. It's cleaner. So yeah, awkward teenage years. Like this is not good, right? But to me, again, this is teenage years, and like all teenagers suck, right? But like, why we're excited for like the adult years. And Garrett, you and I had like a great conversation a few weeks ago now with Drew, who was working on Commit Boost and like the Fabric, what do they call it, framework, I guess. And that is the foundations that are needed to make based rollups happen. And like that to me is like when rollups are really like not only like interoperable and like solve a lot of like the UX and just like this like weirdness on like, yeah, really just like interoperability and like shared liquidity and stuff. But it also, once again, drives value back to Ethereum. If for no other reason than it makes the Ethereum validators themselves and the node operators themselves like more important and central to like the greater ecosystem. And so, I'm not sure like how much you're in the based rollup world and if you want to like kind of rehash that and talk about why that is interesting to me. But I guess all's to say, to like maybe make like a little bit more of a spicy point, is that like for the people that are saying the L2 roadmap was a mistake and we just need to like go back to L1 and juice all the like performance and just get everything back on there, it's like, if that's really what you believe, just go to Solana. Like they've already done that and they do it fast and better.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, trying to like just be a realism maxi. Like we also see that like stable coins, despite the proliferation of L2s, there's still majority on Ethereum, as like the footprint of stable coins on L2s remains like fairly nascent. They haven't really gotten a major like the L2 with the biggest amount of stable coins is Base. I'm just pulling up the DeFi Llama stats right now to make sure I'm actually like not just talking like randomly here. Yeah, Base has got $4 billion worth of stable coins, which is, you know, amazing. Like that's phenomenal. We'd all like $4 billion worth of stable coins. There's still $123 billion on mainnet, and that like on some level, like mainnet still serves as liquidity black hole for stable coins. Like the largest footprint of stable coins tends to attract more stable coins. And stablecoins being the killer use case for Ethereum, like I think we're just going to keep continuing to see like stablecoins deciding that like, you know, we'll try an L2, we'll try this or that, but their home is a mainnet.
Yeah, man. And someday we got to find someone who can tell us what goes on Tron, because like,
yeah, seriously.
I don't
73
really
billion. I've never used it once. I actually have some Tron, so I guess I should say full disclosure, I'm a investor in Tron.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I guess to bring us back, so Robinhood like buying a L2 company and like maybe or definitely or whatever, right? Like doing an L2 to you, that seemed sorry.
It makes sense actually to me. Like I kind of understand that thesis a lot better than a lot of others, I guess. So like I just look at it, that one from the point of view of like everyone's going to copy whoever's winning, and Coinbase in a lot of ways is winning, right? Like they you know, they're a bank on some level. Like I don't know if they're officially a bank or whatever, but like they operate effectively like a bank in terms of like having all the regulatory licenses, being super centralized, and yet they've like got an amazingly thriving L2. They've got like, I was seeing this tweet yesterday, which is like people asking like, what's the like companies that very obviously could be $1 trillion companies in the like stock market that aren't yet, and like Coinbase was his pick, and it makes sense. Like Coinbase, like the amount of like interesting innovation that's coming out of them versus the amount of interesting innovation that's coming out of most fintech players, like yes, they will at some point, not financial advice, be $1 trillion company.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I understand that like sentiment.
So yeah, if you're Robinhood, why wouldn't you copy what Coinbase is doing in the same way that like everyone's trying to copy Tether because what Tether is doing is working?
I mean, I guess like the thought is like the play there is essentially like you can capture sequencer fees, right? And I guess like that is viable, assuming you can like generate enough like organic activity that isn't just like essentially, yeah, that's like real organic activity. But I guess like the argument against that, it would be like, why go through all of like the difficulty in deploying the tech and then be responsible for like that much TVL and like all the security and like risk that goes with it, when like you could just deploy everything that you want to do onto Base? Or if like that's too close to home because Robinhood views Coinbase as a competitor, like deploy it onto Arbitrum or onto Optimism.
But it's not even that big of a technical lift to launch an L2 nowadays. Like my understanding is there were like websites that essentially had L2 factories, so we could launch our own like Squid L2 live on the show if we wanted.
Oh my God, dude. If Robinhood, a company like that, is using like a fucking roll up as a service provider, I think is very scary. Like
it is, but it's not out of the question, right? Like the Paxos stablecoins are like very proven best in business, and they're all just like essentially a fork of like very basic Solidity for contract or something.
No, but dude, the difference between essentially an ERC20 smart contract where like I just we haven't seen a major L2 get drained, and like that's gonna happen. Just like in the arc of history, that's gonna happen, right?
It's an interesting question. Will it, or is it going to like be one of those cases where like when the exploit happens, we're going to see how centralized they are as all the sequencers magically go down temporarily to
Well,
upload
I guess like the really interesting question is like what happens if the exploit happens on the like Ethereum smart contract layer, where like someone is able to send like a naughty proof that like allows them to withdraw like half the ETH, and like then it doesn't really matter what like the centralized parts do because it happened on the
Interesting.
settlement
Yeah,
layer.
good point.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm confident it's going to happen, right? Like we've seen like the Bybit hack happen, right? Like the idea that you could just like get over $1 billion seemed like one of those things that was so bad that it was impossible, but it did happen. And I don't know. I just like, if I were Robinhood, I would be nervous about the idea of like, we want to be the custodian for billions of dollars of other people's money in this space where like, if it's gone forever and there's nothing we can do about it.
Well, the Robinhood team is a little like, I agree. They're not just going to go to a roll up as a service. Like they got some good devs. Like I remember, I mean, I haven't looked at this in a decade, so it's probably out of date. But like I remember back when they launched, like their UX was bespoke, and everyone was trying to like just copy the Robinhood UX because it was such a beautiful trading experience and no fees and mobile first and all that. So like if they can throw that much money at like a great user experience and whatnot, I'm sure that they can get some devs to figure out how to make a decent and interesting like roll up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real. Like decent and interesting. It's just going to be another like general purpose smart contract platform. The question is like, what like ecosystem of apps can they get on there, and especially like what exclusive ones that are only going to be on Robinhood. I think that's like what kind of drives the activity.
Like that's where I actually think the like L2 case is not bad. Like I see these like mobile fintech like companies that have like captured like massive market share as having like a relatively easy path to it, because like what stops Robinhood from just like building something into the app, and you don't know you're using the L2, but you click a couple of buttons and it creates a wallet for you, and it like all of a sudden your stock trades are logged on the app, and then they can point to the metrics and be like, look, we've got 1 million like transactions being recorded per second on this L2.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't even say any of that. You'd just be like,
yeah, it'd be invisible. It'd be invisible.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I'm like kind of bullish on like that being how like a lot of the mass adoption happens.
Yeah, for sure. No, the bankless guys are definitely going on an arc right now, but something that I feel like they pioneered, which I really like, was this like whole DeFi mullet concept where like business in the front, party in the back, like, and in the front, like it just looks clean. It looks like experiences that people are used to that like probably won't even say anything about crypto. And then that's powered behind it by like this new infrastructure that we're building.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, are the Wall Street analysts on the quarterly earnings calls going to be measuring transactions per second as a health indicator for these various companies? And if they start doing that, then every company that has a like blockchain strategy is going to be trying to figure out how do they spoof that metric and drive as much like organic seeming activity as they can onto it to juice the numbers.
Yeah, and I think there's two paths for like crypto becoming like super valuable, right? One is that we create all these like new crypto native experiences that like weren't possible before, like a la Curve Finance or Uniswap, right? And then you can get like more esoteric with that, right? And then there's like real world companies using this for things that like they just want to do, and like they're not in it for the crypto, they're not in it to like open new markets or whatever, they just like want to achieve some goal. And I just sent you a link, like probably worth pulling up, right? But like what's really starting to get exciting is we're seeing what's happening on the like companies that just want to use this technology for this because they have problems that they want to solve. And like Robinhood's not quite in that category, because if they're just building an L2, that's like still crypto for crypto's sake. But like This is interesting, right? So the headline here is JP Morgan Chase steps beyond walled garden to settle transactions on public blockchain. And so if you've been following it all, JP Morgan has been doing blockchain stuff for a long time now. They have private blockchain like network between like, I think it's like 27 banks, and they do like many billions of dollars of repo transactions between themselves on just a fork of Geth, which is pretty cool. But like that has been super outside of our world and not really relevant to like the crypto that we know and love. This is different, right? Like now JP Morgan is like entering the public blockchains and is this is just like a proof of concept thing that they're using Ondo and Chainlink to just like do. They're probably not even. It's not even real business, right? They're just like proving that they can do it. But like now, I think this is like the real bullish case for bringing TradFi into crypto, where it's like the banks themselves like build integrations onto public blockchains, and like for their benefit would be like, okay, they can like suck in some of this liquidity and some of this action and like use it as bring it into the bank. And then for people at the bank, it's like, okay, like maybe they're building an exit channel for us so that if like we ever are not happy with what JP Morgan's doing, like we have a way to like vote with our feet and like exit into public blockchains if like things get weird.
Yeah. I know you've been following this for a while. So I'm kind of curious to hear your take on this. Does this mean the private permissioned Onyx type blockchain movement is effectively dead, and like the large financial institutions have bent the knee and the future is going to be on Ethereum? Or do you think that there's going to be a universe where like it coexists and like JP Morgan's doing some transactions on Ethereum and others on this like private intranet of blockchains?
Well, I think like a good analogy here would be like roads, right? Like, and I don't know, everything America does is fucked up. So this is going to be a very American way to say it. But like here we have public roads, which are like the most important network of like transportation, where like that's how most people use, and like that's kind of the default. But there's like lots of places around the country where if you like private companies have built private roads and you pay them fees, tolls to use the private roads. And like that, the system we've created here is not like what one, private or public, right? It's these things to work together to like serve different customers and serve different needs, and like allow business opportunities for certain people. And so like I could totally imagine having these public blockchains be like kind of like the vast majority of like users or whatever, right? Like just they look big, but then maybe like some incredibly important stuff happens in private blockchains that are like connected at different points, whether that's through like oracles or through bridges, or maybe like why couldn't you have a private blockchain that is an L2? So it's connected to Ethereum L1. It allows you to like still force an exit if like you have assets on that, but it's not just like anyone can deposit into it.
All right. So in the same way that like some L2s become L1s, do we think that Onyx might start becoming a roll up onto Ethereum to start posting?
I mean, my most just like
Why not?
moon boy vision for all of this is I think that like the world is not asking for like how many different internet property layers can we have. The world is saying like let's build an internet property layer, and I think Ethereum will be the foundation of that. And I think eventually every single L1, whether it's like Sonic, which is EVM equivalent, or Solana, like I think that those will eventually be L2s. And that's not because of like any tribal, like that is because I think the inherent like value in this is having one property layer that is like native to itself and can talk across like these different environments, but it's still one property layer. And I think the way things are going, I believe like Ethereum will be the foundation and everything grows on top of it. But like, I don't know, things could change and Solana could be the foundation, everything grows on top of it. But to answer your question, like, yes, I do think that everything will be like in some way inherently tied to Ethereum.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know maybe we're just like overly bullish because the tech is good again and the price is back up, but it does seem like there's been enough cycles of like where Ethereum could have lost dominance and hasn't. That like we've seen so many cases in this entire industry where the winner, like, or the first mover even just like keeps the advantage forever, right? Like
Yeah.
Uniswap launched first and like they've always had the advantage. Ethereum launched first, Bitcoin launched first. Like, in very few cases does anyone get displaced that like builds up and like gets a nice sustainable operation going where they like launched first.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chainlink God posted like some tweet about how like Ethereum is trying to be like three things and like failing at all of them. Like I think he said store of value, like blob space layer, and I don't know, some other thing. And like that's the problem with Ethereum, right? And when I saw that, I was like, I mean, none of those things are why I believe in Ethereum, right? Like those are all interesting features and like those are things that we talk about that I don't think are wrong, right? But like the reason I'm bullish on Ethereum is because there is one there. Yeah, he said ETH is not a better store of value, it's not a better execution layer, and it's not a better blob space layer, right? And like I don't take issue with any of those things, right? But that's not why I think Ethereum is interesting. Why I think Ethereum interesting is because there is one crypto platform, one, that even pretends to give a shit about credible neutrality, right? And like, if that's not what we're optimizing for, then like, why did we go through all of this? Like that isn't that the whole point of this space?
Also, being a little bit reality maxing, it seems to me that the killer use case for crypto has been stablecoins, and you're not beating Ethereum on stablecoins. So, like, even if it like is just a fluke that they happen to be parked there, like that does carry some economies of scale.
Yeah.
By the way, one thing I really like seeing as a reality maxi is look at that 641 people tuned in right now on X, which is good. But if we're if the price is good and the price just went up 50%, let's see if we can get that number up 50%. We got to get people knowing about AIOZ in the corner up there. So get this, share it with everyone you know.
Yeah, no, man, we're beta on Ethereum, so if it goes up 50%, I want to see 150%.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Cool.
Got some fans. See, look how much fun it is to chat there. You just chat and you show up on stream. Where else can you get that?
Yeah.
Beauty of doing this live.
Thank you, Kimbo. All right, so change of topic. I wanted to, like, my friend Mr. Curve himself. Did you see that the Virtuals platform is moving to a VE tokenomics?
I did see that. I didn't get a chance to dive into their tokenomics, but it's like, I mean, at this point, having been like a Curve maximalist for 4 years, I've seen like so many people try and like figure out like how to like improve on governance, and they usually take the Curve VE tokenomics and tweak it in some nice little way, but like everyone always comes back to that same core principle. So like I guess like I just see that as like I'm so excited to get to work with the most brilliant people that like literally like we're able to like think through these problems and come up with like such amazing solutions back when like most people didn't even understand what the problems would look like down the line. So it's a huge testament to the power of the amazing brilliant people building amazing stuff at Curve every day.
Yeah, and dude, like I'm not even gonna try to like unpack it here because it's like really it takes us to a new level, right? Because like the idea behind the Virtuals platform is, so they are a platform where anyone can launch their own AI agent, and Virtuals is the currency, but that the AI agents like use. So essentially, what happens is like, let's say like we want to launch a Squid bot, right? And the Squid bot will like be a Twitter bot and like shit post and whatever. And then when the Squid bot creates like the Squid bot coin, the way that it gets paired with the Virtuals token. And so that's how like the Virtuals token gathers value, is that it is like the base pair for all of these AI bots. And so my understanding is not only is there a VE system applied to the Virtuals token itself, but there's also going to be a VE system on all of these like AI agent tokens. And so it's like this kind of like double layer, and like I can't even understand the like kind of what that means and how those are going to interact. And I think not that you're really looking for suggestions, but if you are looking for someone to come on the Llama Party and like talk about something interesting, someone needs to explain like what Virtuals is doing and why they chose VE, and like how that's going to unlock things that are specific to the AI agent ecosystem. But so I'm not going to opine too much on what Virtuals is doing, other than to say it's cool they're doing VE. But I would like to get your take, now that we're like 5 years into the Curve experiment. Like, looking back, do you think that I agree with you that VE is really the only system that is the best system so far we've seen for governance and like tokens? But like, what are like, if you could go back and like kind of advise on building the system, knowing what you know now, like, do you have any like thoughts on improvements or like tweaks that you would have made?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, like I didn't have any like insight into like I joined Curve long after it, so it's not like I was sitting there in the drawing room and like helping to assemble this. I did get the chance to like be one of the most prominent like Curve bulls at a time when there was a lot of Curve bears and like a lot of Curve FUD going around on Twitter. Thankfully, like the Curve FUD era seems to have subsided somewhat, and like I actually like pleased to log in and see like my timeline like you almost uniformly bullish on Curve, which is like weird. But during the like FUD periods, like where it was like logging into X every day was like a drag. One of the weirdest critiques that hit me was like when a new protocol would launch and they'd inevitably use like a VE tokenomics, but they'd like apply some like tweak or some small improvement. And the FUDsters would jump on top of that as evidence that like Curve tokenomics is awful, Curve is failing. Like this random protocol has like change the lock window and therefore they're like so much better than Curve, or like change some small part of the alignment. Whereas like the flip side of that is like when everyone's bullish, like when like the exact same arguments come up, it just like as a testament to why Curve is great. It's like, okay, like this new protocol's launched and uses Curve's tokenomics and improves it slightly, but it's an evidence of like how Curve is great. So it's just kind of funny how like whether people are in a bullish or a bearish mood, they like look at the Curve tokenomics and see that people have like made changes and improvements to it. I just the reason I bring this whole story up is just to say that like, yes, of course, as the Curve VE tokenomic system existed, like it's the almost easiest thing in the world for people to identify where they can make tweaks and adjustments to it and adapt it and improve it. And a lot of people have, like, we've seen a lot of like I want to say like common sense innovations, but like everyone hated the 4-year lock. Not everyone. Like I think there's like an argument to like the idea that a 4-year lock is essentially an infinity lock. And yeah, you can go back and forth, but a lot of protocols like adopted a shorter lock time. A lot of protocols adopt the ability to unlock with a penalty, which I think in a lot of cases can make a lot of sense. Like unlock early and burn half of it. Prisma actually, before their demise, had some really interesting innovations. Like they had like a permanent auto lock where you didn't see linearly decreasing vote power, because a lot of people like had mixed feelings about the linear decrease in vote power. And you've even seen pretty cool things. Like I think the fact that Barachain is like essentially doing a VE tokenomics for validators is like pretty interesting stuff. Like there's all sorts of cool innovations. I even think the aerodrome velodrome idea of like having a DEX that sends that essentially like uses the same like VE tokenomic system, but like tries to like use it towards the core metric that they're trying to attract, which in their case is volume. Like I think there's all sorts of cool innovations on it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, of course there's adjustments that can and should be made depending on the case.
Yeah, well, damn, that was just like a very diplomatic answer. So yeah, no, I haven't like dug into like all of the like tweaks that have been made since, but yeah, I do just think like the one thing that I kind of wish was an option in Curve is that like unlock early, like for some penalty, because like, yeah, you just make it like 4 years is obviously forever in crypto, right? But even if it wasn't 4 years, even if it was just like convex style, like 16 weeks, it's just like things happen so fast here, so fast, and like it would just be nice to like have a little bit more optionality. And when we like dig into like virtuals
Yeah.
and like the just the next iterations of VE as they come out, it'll be interesting to see if that sentiment is picked up in like the changes that people make, or if not.
Yeah. I guess I feel like what we ultimately see is that like these kind of like VE tokenomics design and architecture decisions ultimately just like influence how the protocol evolves. Like, so for Curve's case, like because it's like mechanism was not necessarily the most user friendly for an end
Mhm.
user. I think what you end up seeing was that like a lot of like the individual VECRV lockers, like it didn't really make sense for like an individual to necessarily be
Mhm.
locking. But it did kind of have this effect of this constellation of other protocols that decided like, okay, we can actually like build a tokenomics game on top of it. And as a result, you start to see like protocol as building actual like applications, um, which I think is kind of like the like kind of obvious
Mhm.
repercussion of this idea of like kind of more complex locking mechanism. Whereas if you build something that's like much more user friendly, then maybe you'll get a lot more end users like willing to like engage with the locking mechanism as opposed to like needing protocols to come in and build things out.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I think it would be good to hear what's going on with virtuals, because, like, basically I guess Berachain was like the first departure from applying VE tokenomics outside of a DEX, but like even still, it's like pretty DEX like. But like the idea of applying this to AI agents is like definitely interesting, and would love to just like figure out what this means to them and then watch it play out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be really interesting. And thanks also for the llama party recommendation, because you say it's like no trouble, but like booking guests is like and like that whole dance is like, and even just identifying who'd be a good guest is the toughest part about doing the thing. Like, as you know, you could like just sit and talk for an hour, but like figuring out who's gonna sit there and talk with you can take 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, definitely noted. And it's recommendations from you as well as the 700 some people watching the show that are able to allow us to like keep the vibe going.
Yeah. Well, speaking of keeping the vibe going,
QR
yeah.
code
What is it? AI 16Z?
AIOZ.
AIOZ. Yeah. All right, man.
And soon they'll have the auction up for next week's QR code. So if you are interested in getting your logo there, as well as a million shameless plugs on live streams like this, because some people say I just plug whatever happens to be in this corner here. So if you'd like your QR code to be plugged, as well as advertising inventory on the Leviathan 24/7 Telegram newsfeed, the gorgeous leviathannews.xyz website, our up and coming Discord. It's all available. You can get all that for a competitive llama style auction every week. We try and have the auctions expire around Friday, and we'll have some more interesting auctions rolling through the system too. Check it out at leviathannews.xyz.
Yes, please do auctions. They're fun. All right. So speaking of keeping the vibe going or not, anything else you want to walk us out on today? It's the news has just been so focused around like price that while it like make us feel like a little more comfortable in our like everyday lives, it has really like washed out a lot of like the more like intellectually stimulating things that are going on, and I think that's actually probably like a good canary in the coal mine for what it feels like to be in a bull market. But yeah, man, not the it's hard to pay attention to the gritty details this week.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like internally doing around the like curveverse, we've been having to deal with this DNS hack. But if you want to let me talk about whatever I want, I'll just keep talking about Curve all day long. Happy 2-year anniversary to Curve USD, and I bring this up not just to celebrate, but like there's a lot to celebrate. The Curve USD market cap has hit an all-time high. Because of the recent launch of Resupply has been proving a pretty cool thing. We'll actually have a show planned for I think next week, maybe the week after, where we're gonna delve into the resupply like universe and its effect on Curve USD and everything. So this is just a bit of a teaser to mark your calendars for some upcoming Wednesday.
Yeah.
Where we're going to be focusing on this. I actually bring this up also to tease another llama party that will be happening this Friday, because like the stablecoin narrative, I think, remains the most interesting and compelling narrative within all of DeFi. You know, we talked a bit about like the like weird implications that has on this idea of like, well, weren't we supposed to be focusing on Bitcoin or Ethereum? But like, let's face it, people want stable coins. And if you are interested in stable coins, we'll be also talking a lot more about this in a llama party this Friday. But one of the coolest ways to finally have the ability to like speculate on the success or failure of stablecoins is the Open Stablecoin Index, which was launched right here at Leviathan. It's been around for like I think a little less than a month, and in that time, it was launched at $1. It's up to $1.50. So in like less than a month, the Open Stablecoin Index has jumped from $1 to $1.50, which is just a testament to how bullish people are, in my opinion, on the stablecoin narrative.
Yeah. No, man, for sure. And I don't know if we want to get like super deep into it, but so resupply, right? Like, let me tell you my understanding of it and like tell me why this is like too cynical, right? Because to me, it seems like almost just a mechanism to lever up the like just to like loop like loans back into stablecoins, back into loans, back into stablecoins. So just to seemingly like drive up the like the market, the number of outstanding stable coins. Like what is, once like the resupply loop is done, like what is the value that's like given to either the like holders of the stable coin or like traders, or like when all goes well with this, like who benefits?
Yeah, and so I'd like to give you a good answer, but I think we should save it for, because I think it's next week when I look at the calendar that we were trying to get this schedule going for resupply. And I think if we do it with the team that's going to be assembling to talk about it, they'll be able to give a much better answer, because it was just at ETH Denver that I was grilling some people on this question too. I was like, there has to be winners, there has to be losers, and all these things, right? So I was like, trying to drill down this, like, who is the loser in this loop, because I'm not understanding like the trade-offs. And their answer was like, the losers are protocols that aren't resupply. Which was very, very hilarious answer. By the way, yes, May 22nd, so that's like a week from today.
Okay.
Although wait, May 22nd's not a Wednesday.
No, it's fine. So coming soon. But,
anyway, next week, yeah, coming soon next week, we're gonna have like an awesome team available to answer your questions here. But my understanding is like, if you are leverage looping, like, then of course there can be some risks involved, as all things happen with like leverage. So I'd say that like the like extreme amounts of volatility would be my guess, like could catch some people who are like extremely levered up with their hands in the cookie jar. The intent, my understanding of resupply, is that it's supposed to be like the best place to farm stable coins. I've been just doing a little bit of stablecoin farming through it, just to see how it works, kick the tires, and so far I've been very satisfied.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's we'll put a pause on that and like wait for someone who is not just shooting off the hip to walk us through and like let us know just how this works and why this works. And like I guess like my real question is like, is the customer just like the person that's farming stablecoin yields, or is it also like, is Curve USD itself, right, and like the stablecoin issuers themselves part of like the customer base, because when using resupply, this is growing their stablecoin market cap?
Yeah, so I mean, speaking from the Curve perspective, like the effect of resupply on the Curve protocol is like nothing but very good, right? Like we've seen it's already had the effect of like causing a huge amount of like new minting of Curve USD. The like interesting thing about it is like, as you go through this kind of like rehypothecation loop through resupply, it also has the effect of like driving down the borrow rates on Curve USD markets, which essentially means that like if we get in this period where like everyone's like super interested in like hyper leveraging Bitcoin, hyper leveraging Ethereum because they think it's going to like go up, you might just well see that like those who actually are aware that Curve has these lending markets that like they look at and they're like, oh, I can get much better rates on Curve USD than I could on other platforms. So it like we might actually see it like play out in a way that's like strongly beneficial for Curve USD. Now, you might argue that like the flip side of that might be that like, okay, if borrow rates are artificially suppressed on Curve USD, then that might impact DAO revenues, right? Because every Curve USD is just taking that borrow rate and essentially like funneling a little bit to Curve USD, but mostly to the DAO. So if the borrow rates are too low, is that a bad thing because revenues are down? But then the flip side of that will be, well, if like borrow rates are half, but the TVL's double, then that kind of evens out, right?
Yeah. I guess like my question though is like, okay, so we see resupply increasing the amount of CRV USD, right? But is that CRV USD like actual circulating, like available to like facilitate trading, or is it like minted and then immediately like kind of locked away?
So to some extent, like from the Curve perspective, it doesn't matter because every Curve USD in existence is earning that borrow rate for the DAO. So every Curve USD that gets minted is good for Curve.
All right. Let's put a pause on this and let's wait for the experts.
Of course, yeah.
But cool. All right. Anything else on our way out?
Oh gosh, I'm sure there's a million things. Whenever I need to know what's going on, of course, I just go to leviathannews.xyz. I spend a couple of minutes clicking on the AIOZ Squid Pass link because I want to refresh myself what's going on. And I'm like, oh great, it's their Discord. It's great. I remember that. Happy to be there. There's of course like a lot of shenanigans is always going on with Bitcoin. So let's just see if there's any headlines that catch our interest here. The 100,000 Bitcoin pulled from exchanges in 3 weeks as accumulation ramps up. We already talked about JP Morgan Chase. And then I saw Michael Saylor's infinite money glitch strategy is transformed strategy from a struggling software firm and the world's largest corporate Bitcoin holder, but can it survive a crypto crash? So like, I don't know what this all means. Maybe you like follow the like Bitcoin narrative enough. Does this mean like Bitcoin's about to be pumping soon? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Saylor is either going to end up like one of the richest, like most genius seeming guys in the world, or, it's like he's going to lose it all because like, I don't think Bitcoin's ever going away. Right. But like, I could see a scenario where the price crashes below like what he's paid for it at a time when all of his debt starts maturing. And then that forces him to sell, which forces him like drives the price down further, like in the same way that this is a virtuous cycle, like this could easily become a death loop. But I just like wish, and I know this isn't how life works, right? Like the fact that he's this like deranged is like part of why this is working, but like I just wish the guy who's gonna walk away as like the biggest winner of Bitcoin just like was more serious.
Yeah. As I scroll through the headlines, just a couple of things to shout out. Definitely a big congratulations to Liquidity is going to be relaunching soon. So Liquidity launched their Liquidity V2 Bold stablecoin, and then they had, I think, a security issue, so they had to like pump the brakes, but they're coming back, so exciting to them. Paladin and Rings, two of my favorite protocols, are going to be unifying their offerings and becoming Trevi. So I don't know what Trevi is. Isn't that like the fountain in Rome? I don't know. But like, and then Sonic is getting some native USDC. So some cool stuff. All right, I guess I got to get your opinion. What do you think about Fartcoin deposits now live on Hyperliquid?
I mean, gambler's gonna gamble. I don't know. I don't.
Are we getting a strategic Fartcoin reserve for the US?
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, that's what happens when Trump falls asleep in Saudi meetings. He's adding to the Fartcoin reserve. I don't know, man. I just, another thing that I wish, like, I can't wait till crypto matures more, is that like the most like promising, exciting protocol isn't just another fucking perp stacks. that I think we need to like move beyond that, because like that to me says that still the most important use for crypto is like high leverage gambling.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I get bullish on like Robinhood launching their L2, because like if you see mobile apps starting to tiptoe in the game, like you could easily get like a Angry Birds L2 or a like what's the like Temple Runner L2 or something.
Yeah, I just hope that like the reason
Start the application.
all like Robinhood is not like deploying the L2 is just like so we can deploy our own perp stacks.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, like my hope would be for crypto is that like the price accumulates slowly, not quickly. Because I think when the price goes up too quickly, you start to get the Sam Bankman-Fried effects of like and the Do Kwons, where like you just get cash grabs, things like get hyperinflated too quickly and super like fast crashes. Like I'd hope for like slow and steady growth.
Yeah, I will say though that like this coming cycle, like the next Do Kwon or the next SBF, he's already here. Like those are not the guys that enter like when the price goes up. They're the ones that have like been setting the foundations.
All right. Well, if it's one of you, one of the gorgeous 750 people watching this on X, like hit us up. We'll get you on for a live stream.
Yeah, and yeah. Oh, all right, Garrett, it's been real.
All right, sir. May 14th is in the books. We'll catch you all squids on the next tide.